What would you do if your spouse became seriously ill during your marriage?
Most people, when they get married, don't go into it with the thought of illness or anything. They see the end picture and the happily ever after.
Tonight, we're going to talk about the biblical view of tackling health issues or health challenges in your marriage according to the vows that most people have made before God. I'm Will McGlynn Jr.,
I'm Kelly McGlynn, and this is
Marriage
Marriage
with
with
the
the McGlynn's.
McGlyns.
All right, before we get
We're
started,
just going, I'm going to have to tell them. Because I ain't going to be able to go into
y'all,
it.
he's so deflated tonight.
I'm a little deflated because we
He
did a
ate up
whole
about it.
we did a whole 40 minute
Oh, it was
video
good.
and
It
it
was
was
so
really
good.
good. I mean, even my part, which I don't usually say my part was good, but I think it was pretty good.
It's gonna be good again.
so, so we had the mics on. We did a sound test, and the sound was perfect.
Perfect.
We did the video, and then we went to play it back.
It was like,
It was like
turn it up.
yeah, it was like a whisper. You could barely hear what we were saying. So
Whisper.
we got to upgrade our mic system. I thank God for the mics that we have,
Yeah.
but we got to do it. We got we got to upgrade.
Hey, we use what we have, right? We don't
Yeah,
despise small beginnings. We got to get on with the get on.
yeah. So right now we're just using the laptop microphone. So
So
we already tested it, and it should be doing good.
should be good. That's the thing. So before we get started, my husband. All right, you all right
I'm
now?
good now.
Okay. So it's late for us. It's bedtime,
Yeah.
but we had to come back and do it because we gave our word. So before we get started, if you didn't, we're talking about, in case you didn't know, in sickness and in health. We started talking about it last week when we had our sweet little mom and daddy on. So if you missed that broadcast, do yourself a favor and go back and watch it. Now, we had sound issues. That was the mic again last week.
Yeah, but the battery just died last
Okay,
week.
so
I
that
think
was
last five
yeah,
minutes.
like the last 5 minutes or so. So it's nothing we can do about that. But the rest of it, our sweet little mama and daddy, honey, if you need a good laugh or you
Yeah,
depressed or something, go watch those videos because they laid it all out. We're supposed to be talking about in sickness and health. We never got to
we
it
never got to
because
it.
our sweet little mom and daddies just showed out last week. But let's start with my husband mentioned about the vows that people make um, when we get in marriage. Now, traditionally, we have just general vows. A lot of people do their own vows, which I think is beautiful too. But generally, here in America, when we make vows in marriages, we say for better or worse, richer in health,
Richer and poorer.
richer and poorer, in sickness and in health. So if we ever renew our vows, we're just going to say in health and in health. But
Oh yeah, still saying sickness and health. Come on.
and we're going to bring some things scripturally that was brought to our attention that I told Will that I had never really concentrated on that scripture before. That one of the ones that we're going to read in 2 Corinthians 7 and 28. We're going to be reading that one tonight, and along with one other scripture. But a vow in itself is a solemn promise, a set of promises to one committing one to a prescribed role, calling, or course of action, typically in marriage or monastic career. Like if you're going to be a monk or a
Priest.
priest, nun, or something like that, you take vows of celibacy. You take different vows, which is promises made on your behalf. Now, in regard to vows and covenants, they're kind of intertwined. They're in that same vein, right? But covenants are agreements between both parties with at least two people. So when we are in a covenant marriage, Will and I are both agreeing that we are going to govern our lives according to the principles of the king of our kingdom, right? And as being partakers of that kingdom and doing things in a way that the king has orchestrated it, God is in covenant with us as well, right? So a vow in itself is just me making a promise, a solemn promise. Like when people make, we used to do this a lot. Like when we was coming up in the faith, like people making $1,000 vows. Make a vow. I didn't know what the word said about when you make a vow, you make a pledge, and you don't pay it. Man, you gotta go back and get that stuff right. You gotta repent about that stuff. So that's why you shouldn't do stuff, haphazardly
Just
or
because the pastor said so.
yeah, or of necessity. Talk to Jesus about it, and he'll bring what you need. All right, so I wanted to let's look at 1 Corinthians 7:28. And I had it up in the amplify, but I don't know if when we did our previous broadcast. So let me see if I can get that one back up again.
What is it? I can get it.
1 Corinthians 7, I got it, and 28. And this is in the amplified. I wanted to read it in the amplified because even though it's a little bit more wordy, it just goes a little bit more deeper.
Give some clarity.
Yeah. Okay, so Paul was talking to the church at Corinth, and previous in a couple verses previous to this one, he was talking to virgins about they have no command, but he was giving his opinion, and he made it clear that this is my opinion. This is not the Lord saying this, but
my opinion is one that the Lord trusts.
right, but he has been entrusted by the Lord. In other words, his words have been tried and tested and approved by God. So he was talking about being equally together, whether you're a slave or whether you're not. You can go back and read the rest of that, but let's concentrate on verse 28 of 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. But if you do marry, you have not sinned in doing so. And if a virgin marries, she has not sinned in doing so. Yet those who marry will have troubles, special challenges in this life. And I am trying to spare you that. Okay. So he was in essence talking about, let me go back a little bit. That about remaining with God, that it is better that you just be with the Lord. He was like, it's better if you be like me and just don't even get married. Okay. And it's better to marry than to burn. Like if you're overtaken with lust, it's better just to go ahead and, that's what he's saying. But you got to know that there's stuff that comes with that. If whatever, and we talked about this, whatever your reason is for getting married, if it's not a pure motive, it's going to be tried.
Even if it is pure.
Even if it's pure, everything has to go through the fire. You got to be tried and tested, right? And so when we opened up saying that most people don't get into marriage taking those wedding vows with suffering in mind. But the fact is that suffering is part of life. Sometimes we suffer. Sometimes we suffer disappointment. Sometimes we suffer through physical challenges, which is what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
like you said, most people don't go into marriage with that, with sickness or illness or suffering of any kind in mind. They just go into marriage looking at the wedding day because that's the big event.
Yeah.
As the bride says, it's my day, and
It is not just your day,
the
sugar.
groom is just there.
And but see, we've accepted that.
Yeah, yeah.
Culturally, we've just accepted because we don't know, we don't understand the weightiness
And I think
of
that's
what's
just
getting ready to happen.
a lot of times I feel like that's just in our Western culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean,
Because they take
I've known some Indians that when they get married,
it's like a month
both
long.
the bride and the groom are celebrated, and
Yeah.
they got to have their stuff, on point.
Hmm.
It's not just the bride's day.
Even in Jewish culture, if I remember correctly, it was like a year long thing. Like it was a long thing this long process, this long elaborate process.
Betrothal.
Yeah, betrothal, and then you go through this, and then the month of the marriage, like it's the celebration itself lasts for several weeks, and so with us, it's just like so hyped up and so it's so glamorized, and I think people are attracted to the wedding and not to nobody's going in talking about ooh sickness and health. Yes,
Right.
nailed it. No.
Yeah, because what we said even before, and I guess I'll just stop saying that because you already know this is our second time. But I mean, even before, back when we got married, I don't think they do it now, but you had to take a blood test.
Yes.
And so, as my wife said, it was to make sure that people weren't related, which is
Hmm.
crazy. But
I
but
mean,
that
with
I mean,
everybody being so promiscuous, you
yeah,
don't
it
know.
happens. It happens.
Be out there marrying
But
your siblings.
also, it signifies if they took a blood test, they can tell if you were healthy or not.
Right.
So most of the time when went to the altar, both parties knew that everybody's relatively healthy in this
Hmm.
situation. So you're not thinking about high blood pressure or diabetes or anything that could pop up later on. You just think about having a good time.
Facts. All right. So to elaborate how we flesh this out, because I think we really have to deal with when you think about your spouse, something happening to your spouse, whether it's somebody was in an accident, somebody, something flared up that you didn't weren't expecting, something came out of right field or left field that you didn't, it's just like bam, you just get up one morning and something's just off, or you acquire high blood pressure, or you find out, man, I'm pre-diabetic, or I'm in full-blown diabetes, or whatever it is, cancer, whatever it is. I think that we really find out um how selfish we are as human beings, or either how loving we are, and you can be both. And I say that because you can love somebody, but you don't really want to sacrifice your whole life.
Hmm.
I don't want to alter, my schedule. I don't want to alter, just laying down. But as believers first, that's what we're called. This is what dying looks like. It looks like, okay, my spouse is dealing with this, so this is now part of my life.
Hmm.
How am I going to combat this? How am I going to deal with this? Because there are several areas that can be affected when something like sickness or illness, a long term illness in particular, or something that's going to be life altering. It may be something that happened one time, but it could alter. Let's say we have some friends where the husband had a stroke and went through a series of strokes. And so it altered. And so they had to tweak their functionality. But because they both love Jesus and they're both deeply rooted, man, they are thriving, even in having that blow that the enemy gave them, right? So I think that there are several areas that can be affected financially,
Socially.
socially. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, because when you get married, you get you after the honeymoon, you come home and you get your routine together.
Hmm.
You and your spouse, the husband might still want to go play ball with the boys on Friday nights, or the wife might want to hang out with the girls at the mall every Saturday, or go on a girls trip or whatever the case may be. But when sickness, a long term sickness, rears its head, and you have to change, you have to decide uh, what's more important to you, your social calendar, or being with this person that you vowed to take care of in sickness and in health.
Mm.
And that's a real decision. I mean, and that's where maturity comes in, and I guess accountability is the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for, because you can easily say, well, and I've heard instances of people saying this.
I
This
didn't
ain't
sign up
I
for
didn't
this.
sign up for this.
Yeah.
But guess what? Yes, you
You
did.
did. You really
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. So socially, you can be affected. You have to turn your back on your friends for a season, and
And if they're real friends, they're gonna and real if you're in real community,
mhm,
there's gonna be contribution there. There's gonna be contribution like prayers, or you look, let me come sit with your spouse for a minute, and you
mhm,
go out
yeah, and
and just
get a
get a
break.
breath
Yeah,
a breath of fresh air. That's what real community does.
right. Can I give an example
Yep.
for recently? And I think this is what actually brought this up recently. About well, back at the beginning of October,
Hmm.
last week at end of September. That's what I had a situation that just popped up and literally sucker punched us. And I'm a musician. Well, some people say it. I'm a musician, but and my wife's a singer, and our weekends are really usually pretty active. Um, so this happened uh, one of the busy music weekends that I had. I had to play on Saturday night. I had to play at our home church on Sunday morning. We went out to eat with some people from the church, a couple from the church, after playing two services. And so we got home, and then a few hours later, boom, you know.
Yeah.
And so I ended up in the ER, emergency room, So over the past few weeks, still been dealing with it, and so it messed up my social. I guess you could call it social
Hmm.
calendar because wasn't able to play for the on at the church that I play at on weekends. But like she said, that's when I guess your community
Hmm.
can come in to
Rallied
alongside you.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my wife had just started teaching school, and so I needed to get to and from the doctor. So it's amazing some of the people that you least expect, and that how can I say this tactfully? But some people would say that are against you because of your skin color. Yeah, are the people that really come to your aid and show the true love of God. And that's what I had in my situation. And it humbled me a lot, and it gave me what's the word I'm looking for? Hope for the body of Christ, because
Hmm.
like I said, my wife, she wanted to be there, but she teaches second grade. I mean, you can't just drop the little cherubs off.
Child of cherubs.
But I mean, so she was there. My wife was there when, as soon as she got off of work, she was there when she needed to be. She stuck by my side. But sometimes you have to have a community that will come in and help out, you know.
Yeah.
So the people that I'm talking about that's watching, they know who I'm talking about, and I thank you for it, and I bless God for you. But
And we also bless our other friends who
yeah,
came by too.
all our friends that came by. But during that time, she still had obligations, and you have to, make a decision. Am I going to go do this, or am I going to stick with my spouse? So that's not something that they teach you. Or I'll put it this way: we had our marital counseling consisted of 10 minutes, a couple of days before we got married, and he thought he was doing us a favor.
Don't do it. I'm telling y'all, you need 6 months.
Yeah, he thought he was saying something when we went in there, and but anyway, I digress.
Anywho.
Yeah.
So another area other than sacrifices, and it looks different for different people, right? So some of the sacrifices may be physical sacrifices.
Mhm.
Like you may have to I won't say compromise, but I will say you may have to change the way that you are performing intimately because it may not be sufficient, like especially when you're dealing with long-term stuff, like and you know this if you've had children, when you start getting in them upper months, you can't just drop it like it's hot. It's the weight is too heavy, so you have to improvise. And I'm trying to be tactful, but you have to improvise, and so it's the same, And I think this is where a lot is tested, a lot to see where your heart really is, and if your faithfulness to the Lord really does shine, or everything. It's like a big light shines in your heart, like, "Oh, God, I feel bad because I don't want to be doing this, And so you have to reckon within yourself. You got to resolve
Mhm.
within yourself and go back to the foundation. Go back to your why. Another area is parentally.
Mhm.
Um, If you have children, and maybe one of your children is going through an illness, that is going to affect how you communicate. And so I think with all of this socially, economically, intimately, all of these areas are going to reveal something.
Mhm.
They're going to bring something out of you. If you've been frustrated already, let it go on, come on out. If you've been tired already, go ahead and just tell them, I'm tired, but I'm here. I think it's a mindset really when you're dealing with stuff, because you want people to be gentle with you,
Mhm.
you know, when you're going through stuff. You don't want to be tolerated
Right.
when you're not feeling well.
Right.
And you can tell the difference.
Right.
You can tell when you don't need, I don't want you touching me because you don't want to be here,
Right.
you know. And so this is an extension of what we were supposed to be talking about with our sweet little mama and daddy last week. We didn't even get to this part. I'm telling y'all, go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But if you could pull up Ecclesiastes 4, and I think it starts at 9, verse 9 through 12. Like this evangelist used to say, Ecclesiastes.
Mhm.
Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says,
Oh, you want me to read it? Or you want to read
you can.
it? Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift his companion. But woe unto him who is alone when he falls,
Oh, Jesus.
for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken.
So it's it's not just enough to have a warm body beside you. I think the intention has to be right. And so sometimes you'll face things when you're going through stuff for a long time. You're
Mhm.
like, look, I'm just tired. I want out. I want to go to a hotel by myself. I want to eat bread, and I don't want nobody to call me. And that's how you just feel sometimes. Like, but Lord, nevertheless, I'm right here, and this is what I got to deal with. So give me the grace to do it, and to do it with the right heart, because Father, really, I don't want to do it. And if you just be honest, the Lord will give you the grace to do it. And some of you have been in it a long time, and you the enemy will start playing with your mind about regret,
Mm.
about by this time this should have happened. And my sister, actually, we have
Should have happened.
yeah, this should have
Not
happened.
like you said.
No,
This.
should have happened by now. But my brain was going faster than my
Mhm.
mouth was could catch up. But one of my sisters, we have family prayer every Sunday night, and one of my sisters had a word, and she said, I just keep saying the word delay. And she said about an instance that happened to her this weekend, when somebody was trying to hurry up and get out of a conversation or something so they can get on the road. And she was like, when we finally got on the road, there was a terrible accident. She said, and we had left when we was trying to get everybody to rush and leave. You know, it could have been us, but that delay could have saved our lives. And so sometimes we don't often look at delay as a gift. Some of you have been in your covenant or in your marriage relationship, and it just seems like week after week after month after year that you can, like, you've been in this sickness thing a long time, and so you don't feel like you're attracted to your spouse anymore. You feel like you've been robbed of this dream life that you set up for yourself, and you're starting to feel bitter towards the one God gave you. and you feel like that there's been a delay. But this delay could be what's saving your life from doing what you should not be doing.
Mm.
So I want you to take a minute to really think about, and be grateful. Gratitude and honor go a long way with God. And so when we're ungrateful and we start treating God like he owes us something, he owes us nothing. We start treating him like he owes us something, and like, I didn't sign up for this and all of this stuff, and you're playing the victim. Use that opportunity to get worded up,
Right.
because it's not good to be in the midst of be thrown in a battle. It's like somebody throwing you in a swimming pool and you can't swim.
Hmm.
You don't know how to hold your breath. You're not used to the water, how it functions. You don't know how to tread water. You're in 3 feet and you think you're drowning. And all you gotta do is stand up.
Mm.
But because you're panicked and because you're frustrated, you can't even stand up. Right? And so take it as an opportunity. I remember Will went through things with his eyes. For decades we went through it. I'm like, and that last one, I said, this is it, no more. You sometimes God will give you a holy indignation because you see that it's a spirit of infirmity and it's
Hmm.
not really what it seems like. But if you're not in the Word, you can't discern that.
Mm.
You'll take it as, oh, it's just life. We're getting older. Uh-uh. Yeah, we're getting older. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm thanking him for the wisdom of our years, but the strength of our youth.
Hmm.
That's something that I pray every time God reminds me. But I always tell people that when we got married, that was something that, because of the way I was brought up, I absolutely would not tolerate sickness. I wouldn't. I was raised, but my mom went blind when I was 5. And to see all of that she went through, she was a very ill woman. It was a spirit of infirmity. Nobody can tell me any differently. Just because of some things that I saw when I was little, I didn't have words for it. I didn't have vernacular for what I was seeing in the spirit. Um, but when my mom was born, my aunts told me, and my grandmother told me that she was stillborn. She was blue when she was born, and that my aunt Violet revived her and brought her back. And so she dealt with so many health issues and epileptic. Uh, she went blind. I think it was the doctor's fault. Just so many, just everything. But my mom taught us how to cook gourmet meals, 5-course meals. My mom was blind and knew how to sew. What? She went back to school. She taught herself how to play piano. My mom did everything a sighted person could see. She taught me how to hear in the spirit. She didn't know she was teaching me that. She taught me the importance of the sensory gifts, right? And so she taught me how to hear in parts as like a 5 or 6 year old. We just automatically knew. She would put us in parts. She said, sing this. And we knew how to hear well. And so when people come with any excuse with me, I don't tolerate it. I don't tolerate excuses. Because I saw a completely blind woman who couldn't see nothing navigate through life after a sickness. That thing was meant to debilitate her. It was meant to take her out of here. And I would see moments where she would be depressed and feel sorry for herself, but she would always bounce back. And so I said that, use this as an opportunity to, if your spouse is going through something or if you're going through something, use it as an opportunity to know how to combat it. If you're already in it and you haven't been worded up, use it, because it'll flow out of you. Like, after I see something keep trying to creep in, I'm like, Psalms 103, thank you, Lord, that you daily load me with benefits. You daily load me with health benefits, God. I thank you, Lord, that with long life you satisfy me and show forth your salvation. I thank you, Lord, that not only is my life long, but I'm not just existing, I'm productive. In my old age, I'm still going to bear fruit, right? And so we have to, you yourself bore my sickness and disease in your own body. With your stripes, I'm healed. I'm already healed. So, Father, I thank you for my covenant with you. So you got to have a well to draw from. Make sure you mention this.
What's that?
The opposing view. We didn't get to that one on the last.
Oh, I don't know a whole lot about it. Yeah.
No, but you said this the flip side of it. The opposing view of like if a spouse is sick. So there is
I forgot
there
what I
is something
said.
that Will was like you got to give the opposite side of that because some people are just existing, right? But there's a thing that I just was made aware of called a hospice wife. And a hospice wife is a term for a woman who marries an older man later in life, specifically to take care of him and as a companion as he faces age related issues, rather than out of love, rather than out of covenant. And so some people do that for companionship, and some people do sign a prenup and they do that. Hey, if it's your thing, I ain't got nothing to say about it. But I'm saying that there's a better way. Because you want to be loved. You want to be loved in that. And even if you're in a situation where just let's talk about if you've been sick a long time and your spouse has told you they're not attracted to you. How do you handle something like that?
Yeah, I mean that's a real thing because
Yeah.
we well we know of several people, several ladies that have had to have their breasts removed because of cancer that have been married, and you know that's a real possibility in today's society, and that's not talked about when well it wasn't talked about when we got marital counseling. So a lot of times it's not that subject is not approached when marital counseling is brought up because I think the big thing that from what I've heard about marital counseling from people that I've talked to is infidelity and money.
Mm.
You know, if you can make it to through those two, you can make it through anything. But
Yeah.
nobody talks about, but what if your spouse, your husband, what if your wife has to lose one of her breasts or both of her breasts?
Mm. Or
You
what if
know,
your husband becomes impotent?
yeah. What if your husband experiences ED or something? Um, or what if you're like military? I know a lot of military spouses have to
Mm.
deal with this. If your spouse comes back missing a limb or two limbs,
Yeah.
and you have to be there to move them around and dress them, and you know that's where the in sickness and the health really kicks in. And I think a lot of times people are overwhelmed because they're not presented with that
As
before,
an option.
yeah, before it gets to that point. I don't
Yeah.
know if they do it in the military or because I've seen it a lot with military families, where men and women come back from war with missing limbs, or even they come back all in one
But
piece, but
mentally they're in a
mentally
different place.
they're in a different
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare couples that are coming up. We have to, as ministers of the gospel, pastors, pastors really have to prepare their people that they're
Shepherding.
shepherding for what if this marriage doesn't, end, uh, or isn't like happily ever after all the way through? What if there's some hiccups,
Yeah.
that have nothing to do with another woman or another man, but it has something to do with, a terminal illness or
Right.
illness that's not terminal, but it's going to last for a while. Because like Kelly said, right after we got married, maybe what, 4 years, 5 years in,
Mm.
I started having vision issues, and the vision issues that I had most people don't have until they get to their 50s or 60s. So it took me by surprise, took the doctors by surprise. So what if that happens to your spouse? You got to be prepared to live up to that vow in sickness and in health. You got to be prepared to dig in and not let the enemy run you off because something better comes, or something that looks like it's better
Mm,
comes along.
come on, because let's talk about after you have a baby.
Mm,
If
yeah.
you're marrying somebody because they're stacked and they're fine, and or he's built or whatever, your bodies change. Right now I have to have the fan, another fan beside the bed,
You see, I got this hoodie on right now.
and the air conditioner on.
The air conditioner just kicked in.
And I'm so glad because I'm just getting ready to start glowing in a minute. But my heart goes out because every night my husband's wrapped in swaddling clothes. He's got something around his head. He's got a barricade of a pillow so that the air doesn't blow on him. He's got extra blankets, and I'm over there with the lowly sheet, just in heaven, like, oh, don't touch me, don't even look over here, you know.
Mm,
But there are sacrifices that have to be made even in that,
mm,
because your body goes through. My grandmother never went through menopause.
mm.
She got pregnant at 40. We should have another
Man,
baby.
heck no. See there? That one,
We should have another baby.
no.
But so there are different instances. I can get things fixed. We can just go ahead and we can
Stay
do it.
focused.
I'm focused.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Lord, I agree.
You
I
playing?
can pray these things.
I know you can.
Anyway, but I think what Will is saying is when you go through counseling before you get married, it gives you an opportunity to pre-decide
Mm,
if that's something that, if your heart is not ready to commit to, that there may be a possibility that, and you're looking at the other person like, I don't want to, but what if it happens to you?
right.
It gives you an opportunity to pre-decide that, Lord, I'm still going to do your will. And you could tell them about the testimony of what you shared, the 2819.
Oh yeah, we were watching a documentary on was it YouTube? Yeah, YouTube. Access 2025 from 2819 Church. And so there was a couple on there that really fit the the bill of what we're talking about tonight. The wife was a nurse, and the husband was a paraplegic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when they met, he couldn't move anything from his below his neck down, and he couldn't move anything from his neck down. And she demonstrated it. She said, when I first met him, I had to turn his head like this and the whole nine. And so they fell in love, and she lost her job over it.
She lost her
And
job.
but they ended up getting married. So they went in knowing that, or believing that this might be a long term in sickness situation. Which I guess she was ready to face because she was a healthcare
Mm-hmm.
worker. But still, you know, sometimes we go into a marriage not knowing, like I said, again, like with military families, that your spouse may come home with missing some limbs,
Mm-hmm.
or may come home. Construction workers fall off things all the time, and
Anything can
yeah,
happen.
anything can happen to anybody, and you can't go by how cute they look on
Sure
the
can.
wedding day. Just like my wife said, when new husbands, when your wife is pregnant, some things go on with that body. I mean, and and God forbid if you got a weak stomach and you go in and she has a C-section. Not even talking about the natural birth, but because I went in when she had the C-section, and if I would have had a weak stomach, they would have had to do a C-section. Because I mean, you see things and you smell things, and that can, if you're not
Fully committed.
fully committed, that's what I'm looking for. Um, it can cause you to start looking in other areas. You know, and men sometimes, like she said, after you have a baby, you can't do what you used to do right away. You got to wait
Yeah, you gotta let things heal up.
because that's part of it. And I mean, it's not sickness, but I guess it is
But it
because
is
your
a that
body, yeah, your
yeah,
body's not,
and then there's a season where you can't do nothing. You have to improvise.
yeah,
You have to, if your husband still needs a release,
you got
I'll
to
just put
know,
that.
yeah, you got to,
There's improvising, but you cannot, when you have a C-section, you shouldn't anyway
mm,
go in and be rattling things around in there. You don't want to do that.
yeah,
And then when you get on up in pregnancy, you have to kind of situate yourself or whatever. I'm trying to be tactful. Trying to
you
be
done a good
tactful.
job.
Okay, thank you. Can't drop it like it's hot no more.
So I mean, that's all things that really when you're considering marriage and when you're considering your vows,
Hmm.
we I think that the main thing we want you guys to not do is take these vows lightly
Hmm.
because you're saying them before God, before your family, before everybody that's in the church, and God takes vows seriously.
Yeah.
So,
And it's also not to say, I'm sorry, go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Okay.
okay.
It's not to say that it has to happen. Like people they automatically say or assume, well, when you get people have a mindset, I'll say, that when you get older, that sickness automatically happens. It does not. It does not have to in other cultures, it does not. They have 100-year-olds in the blue zone areas. People are three digits living healthy, vibrant. So a lot of it depends on us
Hmm.
doing what we need to do to stay healthy. And everything that we do all that you do, you know, yeah, I got it. Do everything that you can do and what you don't know to do, ask God to give you wisdom, but you don't have to be sick.
Right.
That's something that you can combat with the word. It's something you can combat with, putting what you need to put in your body, honoring the temple that God gave you. But if you get in that situation, you also can still war in the spirit. You can also go on behalf of your spouse. You can
Hmm.
also make sure that you're caring for them well so that they're loved. Because when people are loved and they know that they're cared for, they heal quickly.
Right.
And so, you know, it's just something that we wanted to do. And my goal is to have a couple or two on that we are, close with to come on and just share some of their experiences because I haven't confirmed I can't give their names yet,
Hmm.
but we will try to get them on within the next couple of weeks. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you guys are subscribing, that you're liking, and that you're definitely sharing it with upcoming young people who want to be married, with older couples
Hmm.
who need to be reignited in their purpose.
We know an older couple that just got married last week.
Yeah, we have yep. We know somebody who was in their 80s that got married over the weekend. So y'all, let's
Um,
hope.
I'm talking about,
And we have
yeah.
another friend who was widowed for
Hmm.
2 years and got married.
Hmm.
So it's all
So
kind of
you never know
stages.
when love is going to call.
Yeah, but I pray that you all are well loved.
And we also ask you to share your thoughts in the comment section. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you've ever had to deal with,
Yeah,
excuse me, sickness, the sickness part of it, and sickness and health. Because health is easy. As long as everybody's healthy,
yeah.
you can figure stuff out. But when sickness comes, um,
It alters.
yeah, it alters everything. And it doesn't matter how much money you got, because if you got, you can be a billionaire, but if you're sick and can't spend any of it, you're just a sick, you know, the money that really doesn't matter at that point, you know. So like, share, and subscribe, and please comment and let us know what your thoughts are. We want to hear them. This is Will McGlynn Jr.,
This is Kelly McGlynn.
and this is Marriage with the McGlyns. Y'all have a great night.
Bye. Love you.